confirmed number of coronavirus cases in Los Angeles County comes to 1,210,663. The confirmed number of deaths reaches 22,475. Here in Torrance, the total number of confirmed cases is 6,903, with total confirmed deaths at 186. We anticipate the local numbers to increase as the county updates its last 24-hour operating period. And it should be noted that today's reported new cases in LA County remains low due to the lag in reporting from the weekend. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Leslie Robbins. It's 4 p.m. on Monday, March 15th. Beginning today, more than 4.4 million Californians will have access to the COVID-19 vaccine. This includes people ages 16 to 64 that are considered high risk of infection due to an underlying health condition. Those include cancer, chronic kidney or pulmonary disease, Down syndrome, sickle cell disease, a compromised immune system, diabetic, organ transplant recipient, pregnancy, having a heart condition, or severely obese. Now, people eligible will need to bring ID proof that they live in Los Angeles County and show that you meet the eligibility criteria, which could be in the form of a letter from your medical provider, from the California Department of Social Services, or from the state's Children's Services. Medi-Cal enrollees could request a letter from the state's Healthcare Services Department, or if getting an official document is difficult, an attestation letter that you sign that states that you meet the eligibility criteria for high-risk medical conditions will also be accepted. The expansion also includes people who live or work in high-risk congregate residential settings, such as homeless shelters and incarceration facilities, public transit, and airport employees. Now, the additional burden this will place on the vaccine supply has many concerned, with 40% of California's vaccine allotment reserved for underserved communities and 10% for teachers. President Joe Biden announced last week he would direct states to make everyone eligible, regardless of age, occupation, or risk level, by May 1st. So far in Los Angeles County, there have been 2,741,577 total doses administered, with 899,527 who have received their second dose. Also beginning today, Los Angeles County restaurants, gyms, museums, and zoos can reopen for indoor operations at limited capacity. State officials say Los Angeles is one of 13 counties that will be able to enjoy limited indoor activity by midweek as coronavirus cases continue to stay low. Los Angeles County officials held a press conference this afternoon to give updates on the latest COVID-19 response, which includes the latest reopening plans for the county. For the first time, Los Angeles County moves from the most restrictive purple tier to the red tier. So what does that look like? Well, indoor dining finally returns at 25% capacity, with tables 8 feet apart and one household per table, with a limit of 6 people. Now, outdoor seating does allow for 3 different households per outdoor table, with a limit of 6 people. Employees of these restaurants should be provided with additional masking protection and provide information and the opportunity to get vaccinated. Schools can also reopen fully for in-person instruction and must follow LA County Public Health school reopening protocols. Movie theaters will also be allowed to open at 25% capacity or 100 people, whichever is less, and reserved seating will be required. Gyms can also open at 10% capacity with masks required. Gyms can also offer personal training, and climbing walls can also reopen. Museums, zoos, and aquariums can also open indoors at 25% capacity. Indoor shopping malls can also reopen at 50%, and while common areas remain closed, food courts are now able to reopen at 25%. To date, LA County's adjusted case rate is 5.2 new cases per 100,000 people, and the test positivity rate is 2.5%. As of March 7th, there have been an average of 550 new cases per day, and hospitalizations and deaths continue to fall significantly. Health officials urge the public to continue to wear face coverings, continue to practice physical distancing, and avoid crowds and large gatherings. Fully vaccinated people are also recommended to continue these practices with a few exceptions, which include the ability to visit with other fully vaccinated people indoors without masks. Coronavirus hospitalizations and case rates in Los Angeles County and throughout California continue to show a steady decline, hitting numbers not seen since before the holiday surge. On Sunday, the number of new cases were reported at 644, with 28 deaths, and 951 patients hospitalized in Los Angeles County. Today, 422 new positive cases were reported, with 893 people hospitalized with COVID-19. A drastic difference, as there were 250 daily deaths reported during the peak in January. Statewide, more than 3,200 patients are currently hospitalized with COVID-19, a drop of more than 85% since the holidays, when it was up to 22,000. Now, this downward trend in recent weeks is also due to the millions of vaccinations being delivered to county residents. Health officials urge all residents to get the vaccine when it becomes available in order to achieve herd immunity. The state also updated its guidance for breweries, wineries, distilleries, and bars, which is great news, as Torrance is a hub for craft brewers. Beginning Saturday, they were given the green light to open even without food being served on site under the red tier. Customers are, however, limited to 90 minutes per visit, and service must end at 8 p.m. if food is not served. Now, breweries, wineries, and distilleries that do serve food should continue to follow the state's COVID-19 guidance for restaurants. Now, for bars that do not serve food, they will have to remain closed even in the red tier. But once the county opens to the orange tier, they can reopen for outdoor service. And then once it moves into the yellow, least restrictive tier, 25% capacity or 100 people, whichever is less, will be allowed back indoors. Now, this is the first time in more than 8 months that breweries, wineries, and distilleries in California will no longer have to serve food to be open for business. This rule was initially introduced to prevent customers from lingering or mingling in large groups, increasing the risk of spreading COVID-19. While many may be excited about indoor dining returning, health officials say it's still considered risky, and everyone should remain vigilant with mask wearing, social distancing, and hand washing if you plan to dine out. Dr. Montu Davis, the Los Angeles County Health Officer, cautioned that eating in a restaurant still poses a great risk, and if you do plan to dine out, then sitting outdoors remains the safer option. He said there are variants that are circulating in the county, and many of those can be more easily transmitted and cause more severe disease. Dr. Davis said he recommends those who are at high risk for severe illness and death from COVID-19 to avoid dining in a restaurant. He says if safety guidance is followed, there is a real chance of getting through this next phase without seeing significant increases and avoiding another shutdown again. California's first confirmed case of the P1 coronavirus variant, or commonly known as the Brazilian variant, was detected in San Bernardino County. The California Department of Public Health alerted the county of the case on March 13th, after it was found in a positive test sample collected on March 2nd. The P1 variant discovered in Brazil in January is believed to be more contagious than the most common strain of the virus. Health officials say the variant was detected by Fulgent Genetics, and the resident who contracted the virus is said to be a man in his 40s. Officials say he reported experiencing symptoms and was self-isolating at home. The county is investigating how the resident might have been exposed to the variant through contact tracing. Well, there's a new color being introduced by state health officials. Last summer, state health officials introduced the 4-tiered yellow, orange, red, and purple system for California to decide whether people can dine indoors or go to the movies or gather with friends. Well, now as more people continue to get vaccinated and COVID-19 case rates continue to decline statewide, California Governor Gavin Newsom says he is prepared to add a new tier labeled green to reflect a return to normalcy after the pandemic. Dr. Mark Ghaly, the state's health secretary, said the likelihood of hitting the green tier is probably sooner than some of us thought when we were looking at the summer and fall. But he continues by saying the green designation won't mean a return to normal. It will still require people to wear face masks and social distance. According to the state's public health director, Dr. Tomas Aragon, California could reach herd immunity when about 75% of the population has been vaccinated. CVS is expanding its COVID-19 vaccination effort in California. The pharmacy chain announced an additional 119 locations will be able to administer doses to residents. Now, this brings the total to 286 different CVS locations that eligible Californians can choose from to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Participating CVS locations will be able to vaccinate those 65 and older, healthcare workers, emergency services personnel, food and agriculture workers, teachers, and staff who work at schools, as well as in childcare settings. People can make an appointment online at cvs.com or through their app or by calling 800-746-7287. Millions should have already begun receiving the third round of stimulus checks as early as Friday. $1,400 payments under President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion pandemic relief package are being sent by direct deposit, with more coming this week. Now, according to the Internal Revenue Service, additional batches of payments will be sent directly into bank accounts or through the mail as a check or debit card. Treasury officials did not share how many payments would be sent in the first round, but the stimulus package is said to include $410 billion in direct payments for Americans who qualify. Eligible families will get a $1,400 payment for each qualifying dependent claimed on their tax return, including college students, adults with disabilities, parents, and grandparents. Now, for example, a family who qualifies with 2 adults and 2 children could receive $5,600. On Saturday, the IRS updated the Get My Payment tool on the irs.gov website, which allows people to check the status of their payment. More and more people are beginning to travel again as the Transportation Security Administration recorded its highest passenger screening in nearly a year. TSA officers screened more than 1.3 million passengers on Friday, the highest number of passengers in a single day since a year ago today. Officials say this milestone is showing signs that travel is picking up again, despite that we're still in a pandemic. Air travel in the U.S. hit an all-time low on April 14th, 2020, with only 87,500 passengers going through TSA checkpoints. Travel for 2020 in general, of course, was down more than 60% from the previous year to 324 million passengers screened across 440 airports. Airlines are hoping more people will be encouraged to fly again as safety measures and protocols have been placed and as more people are vaccinated and COVID-19 cases continue to drop. Well, speaking of travel, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is urging Americans to avoid another potential surge as Americans look ahead to spring break and springtime holidays. Even with declining infections and rapidly expanding vaccine rollout, the U.S. continues to report a dangerously high baseline of daily cases that could go higher if Americans let their guard down. So far, close to 38 million people, which is about 13% of the U.S. population, have been fully vaccinated. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said, with the coming warmer weather, it will be tempting to want to relax and let guards down, particularly after a hard winter that saw the highest level of cases and deaths during the pandemic. She cautioned against non-essential travel, even for people who have been fully vaccinated. This morning's rainfall has prompted LA County public health officials to issue a beach water advisory. From now until Thursday, March 18th, beachgoers are cautioned to avoid swimming or surfing along LA County coastlines, as bacteria, chemicals, debris, trash, storm drain runoff, and other public health hazards from city streets and mountains may have contaminated the ocean waters. Swimming in the water after rainfall could pose serious health risks. You can hear recorded beach conditions 24 hours a day, along with learning about beach closures by calling 800-525-5662 or go online to publichealth.lacounty.gov/beach. Well, before we go, at the end of each program, we'd like to share stories from our community. Feel-good pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. Well, thanks to the joint efforts of the City of Torrance, Torrance Fire, and Providence Little Company of Mary Medical Center, more than 1,200 vaccines have been administered to date to inoculate our Torrance School District teachers, those in emergency services, as well as our essential workers. They've also assisted in coordinating and scheduling neighboring law enforcement agencies to receive their vaccines and have been actively involved in working to help all of the senior centers, skilled nursing homes, and homebound residents in Torrance to get their vaccinations as well. This would not have been possible without these partnerships, and thanks to the staff at Providence Little Company for administering all of the vaccines. They say it takes a village, and this village sure does know how to take care of one another. What a great effort by all. Now, if you have a great story, upcoming event, a photo or video you'd like to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's our update for COVID-19 today. Be sure to join us again tomorrow as Rhiannon Trutanich brings you the latest. Please be safe, stay healthy, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.